that's that chance that, sometimes I just think that we got to remind ourselves, man, when you wake up and you open your eyes, yeah, you probably dealing with some financial burdens. Yeah, you probably lost somebody. But there's another chance of you having air in your lungs.
Welcome back to the Paralyzed To Prosperous Podcast, where we focus on business, leadership, and personal development. Hey, so I got my girl Alalai. How you doing today, Alalai?
Hello, hello. I'm happy to be here, ready to get into the topic because we got something juicy to talk about.
Uh-oh, juicy.
Juicy.
Hey, Jorge, and we also got my guy Jorge A. Sierra. Talk to us, King. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Ready to get into this conversation. Like Adelaide say, this is the season, man, and it's been the last couple of seasons, and so I'm excited for this episode because it's everybody wants to get to the bag, everybody wants to do better than what they were, everybody wants to see that growth, but you know we got to start at that point, that what is that first initial step that you have to take to be able to grow. So yeah, man, I'm good. I'm ready. It's been a long day, but it's been a blessed day.
I feel it. I feel it. Definitely been a blessed day, man. And I really wanted to just start by saying thank God for y'all. I thank God for y'all just in general, and as people in my life as well. It was I had the chance to train with my guy today in Newton, Kansas, which is 30 minutes away. But on the way there, we had seen a guy like fold his car, like
Mm.
literally fold his car. There was mad people trying to help him out. We came back, the whole road was blocked off. You know what I'm saying? And it just got me back into the mindset of just thanking God for every single person in my life, thanking God for every single moment in my life, because it can, you know, life is like a vapor. You know what I'm saying? It can just go away anytime. So and also the fact that that was literally 10 minutes behind me, or 10 minutes before I got there. You know what I'm saying? So thank God, thank God.
Likewise, my brother. Likewise. That's real. This is why, it's so important that, you balance your life. And I think last week, Alala and I were able to jump on and record some, our podcast. And we were talking about just, depression and just anxiety and just life itself. And when you have that mindset and you really think like, yo, wow, like it don't matter what's happening in my life, but my man just got folded in his car,
Mm.
and I pray that he's alive. But that's that chance that sometimes I just think that we got to remind ourselves, man, when you wake up and you open your eyes, yeah, you probably dealing with some financial burdens. Yeah, you probably lost somebody. But there's another chance of you having air in your lungs, and I really, I don't know if people think that I say it to be deep or try to be, just kind of be motivational, but I'm great. Like I open my eyes, I'm like, God, thank you. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for allowing me to open my eyes. And when I hear stuff like that, it's just again, you gotta be thankful for everything, the good, the bad, and the sexy.
Most
Yeah.
definitely, man. Most definitely. I think it goes back to one of, and I wouldn't say it goes back to anything, but it kind of helps us go into our I'm sorry, our subject today. And I think that, okay, what's this? Last week I had some mental health things going on, right? And when it came down to these things, I was able to peel them back, of course, in a spiritual way. But Jorge helped me peel it back. Okay, you also need to peel it back in, how would you say, in a mental way as well. You know what I'm saying? And so, yes, okay, I was aware that spiritually I need to talk to my God. I was aware that I need to make sure that I need to know where I'm going with this, or why this is even happening, right? But I had to
Yeah.
be self-aware enough to understand. I had to be self-aware enough to understand that it doesn't stop there. I kind of had to put that work behind it, and then also after that, but when I figured out what work I need to put behind it, like just execute it. Don't procrastinate. Just execute it, right? And
Mhm.
so I think applied self-awareness. I think this is actually a subject that my girl Outline came up with. So let me ask you this: like, what made you come up with that subject for this podcast?
Yeah, I had a very interesting interaction with someone who, they wanted to vent about the things that was happening in their lives. And it was things that, in fairness, have been happening for the greater part of 10 plus years. And when I proposed the question about, okay, well, what's up? Like what are you gonna do? It was, well, I'm not interested in doing the other things that needs to be done. Like I know I have a problem. I know what I need to do to fix my problem. I'm just not interested in doing those things. And so it was a bit of an aha moment for me because I'm like, oh, especially in the personal development community or entrepreneur community, there are tons of talk about self awareness. You need to be self aware. You need to study. You need to get stronger within yourself, within your mind, within your spirit, all these, you know, aspects of getting better. But then I realized self awareness versus applied self awareness are very different. In
Mm.
that moment, that person who I was speaking with was self aware. They knew they knew what they were doing was sabotaging their professional and personal lives. They knew it. They knew it because they wanted to call and talk about it.
Right.
And then when
Right.
I said, these are some very popular options to fix or to catapult you and put you on the path that you say you want to be on, it was like, oh, yeah, no, I'm good on that. I don't want that.
Let me ask you real quick, Ala, like not to, because that's
Yeah.
interesting, right? And I think
Mm.
I think that's bro. Like I'm hearing the topic, and it didn't hit me until like what she said right now. It was like, hold up. So I'm because I'm here sitting down, we're talking about self awareness. I'm like, yo, typical
Mm,
conversation of self awareness, but apply self awareness, right?
those are different.
Wow, wow. So why you think why you think that that's even like what talk to me like because you got my attention.
Yeah.
I was a little kind of just okay thinking about self-awareness, but it's how
Mhm.
many people that and instantly, mind you, two people came to mind in my
Of
personal
course.
instantly two
Yeah.
people came into mind, loved ones, people that are family, like their blood, and I'm like, ooh. Ooh, so it's not that you're not aware of, you're just not applying the self awareness, right? So
Right.
Hmm.
why is it that like I mean,
I think there are a lot of different reasons, but I I think one of the ones that I came across was that people are not willing to make the sacrifices that needed to be made to have the changes that they say they wanted. So they know the result, they know what they want. In this particular case, there were things that were happening what that were impacting this person's life professionally. Let's just focus on that aspect of it, right? This person was having a communication problem and was skipped over in promotions because they were having issues with communication, because they were getting bad reports, or like people were filing complaints on them because of their communication style. Okay. So it was, well, why don't you, my part on it, I'm like, hey, why don't you invest in course? Why don't you talk to a therapist? Why don't you dig in a little bit? I'm good on that.
Mm.
I don't want to invest money in that. But they wanted the result. So you want the promotion. You want to be well liked. You want to be respected. But there was no interest in the investment part of it, that middle part, that gap. And they knew it. They knew it to happen. You're getting reports from your boss that says, this is your weak spot. This is what you need to grow in. Most corporate spaces give out, quarterly, some of them give out yearly reviews. You know what you need to improve on. It's on the report. But there was no interest in improving. But you know what they were interested in? Pity, having attention.
But they were probably also interested in that bonus as well. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
well, they're not that they're interested in having the conversation, but let's not say they're interested in having the bonus because
That's true.
like
Mhm.
I think Ala like kind of hit it on it. That individual's more and again, it came to mind one or two people in my head, and I'm like, ooh. And it's
Mhm.
like, okay, because people have a relationship with pity, relationship with feeling sorry
Attention.
for themselves, attention, and
Mhm.
because if and let's be honest, DJ, right? If the bonus was really it takes money to make money, right? And if you're
Mm.
whatever you're doing and you know it's happening, Oh, okay, so I got to know how to communicate a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Or I gotta learn how to control my emotions, right? Like you know the problem,
That's
but you just want to sit there and talk about it because you obviously are not ready or don't want to financially put the investment or physically, right? Because it could just be a matter that money is not the problem, but it's like, okay, am I going to show up and take the steps to go find somebody to talk to professionally? You have a
mm-hmm.
Right.
friend here.
And sometimes sometimes just talking about it is the high, though. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've learned is like, okay, boom, I'm gonna talk about it. I'm talking about what I could do. So I'm high. I'm high
Mm-hmm.
off the possibility now. And so
Mm-hmm.
until I can talk about this again, I'm gonna just stay high off this. If that makes sense. That's how I see it sometimes.
Nah, I think you're right. I think it is a high. It is a relationship. It is a, you know, and I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, for a long time, I really couldn't understand why people would do that. And people ask me all the time, and I think, Alala sent me a text not too long ago, and she was like, "Yo, I'm proud of you. Just want you to know that." And that meant the world to me, because mind you, sis, I don't know if I even told you, I was just having one of those days that it was just felt like it was long. It was felt like, but I was just like, I received it, right? And it reminded me, it gave me a quick flashback of like, yo, bro, you do make you do sacrifice, and you do put
Mm-hmm.
a lot forward. And Kayla today, and mind you, I didn't share that with Kayla, and she was like, bro, like I'm proud of you. And it's this is two different people in my life, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously the conversation wasn't even had with either of them, so it was just like, and what it is that I have a pattern that no matter what my life looks like, if I'm not happy and I'm not, and if it doesn't add up to my expectations are, I seek, and 9 out of 10 times, I want everybody to really understand this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
scared. I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nervous about like doing the right decision or the wrong decision, right? I go through this process, like, yo, is that it? It's not that it. And I think out of like kind of like even just the whole school thing, I think we did it in a couple of podcasts. I mean, a show, episode or two ago, and we talked about how I had a choice to either go to this college that was literally in my backyard or go an hour and 45 minutes, and I consciously made a decision to get uncomfortable and go through a
Mm-hmm.
process that, like, yo, your average person wouldn't do that. But to me, it's like people ask me like, yo, how do you do that? And it's like, yo, how don't you do that? If you're seeking a quality of life, you're seeking to lose weight, you're seeking to live forever. Like, I want to live forever, and obviously I know that that's not gonna happen, but what I'm gonna do is take care of my body. I'm gonna try to
Mm-hmm.
like cut down on, like, I don't drink soda, I don't do, and these are sacrifices that I do now that are gonna benefit me 10, 20 years from now when I'm in my
Right.
70s, because there's a certain level of a commitment that I've done with myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
say all this to say that because I'm thinking, as soon as you said that, and it set me up on my seat, because I was like, ooh. So it's not the self-awareness, it's the commitment, because you're right.
So, ooh,
People know exactly what they need to do. They know exactly what is the type of a sacrifice they need to do, but they're not willing to go past that, but they want to talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yo, like, it's
You
crazy.
know what? I remember when I was living in Texas, I had this moment. I was going to this church and they had done this whole like, you know, play skit, whatever. But there was a service that they had. It was a like form of a counseling service and accountability group. And it impacted me so much just watching these people share their testimonies. I was like, man, something's wrong. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what it was at the time. I couldn't identify it. But I knew enough to say something is wrong with me. And I don't know what it is, but I think this thing could help me with that. And so I think sometime with the self awareness journey, you got to get off of like having to have everything identified to start. If you have an inkling that something is wrong, that you're misaligned, that you are out of purpose, you have to start with that and you start small. So, what can you do? There are some very obvious things you can do. You can get a mentor, you can invest in coaching groups, you can go to counseling. For me, especially in that season and many seasons forward, it was I need to go get on my face and talk to God. Like there were several things I had to do, but the first step is always a skill, I guess is my point. And we have to stop treating that first step like it's inaccessible to us, because that's not true. It's just not true. There's always something that you can do that propels you to that next level. So you take that first step, and then more is revealed, because you have connections, you've met different people, you've been exposed to different information. Now I can put the next step in place, because now I have more information to see the path a little bit clearer. And you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. My self-awareness in that moment was just saying something is wrong with me. And that situation that I gave, that scenario I gave, at the beginning when we started this conversation, they already had it laid out for them
Mm.
because their boss had already said, hey, like, if you could get stronger in this area, this would really help propel you. So, what is the excuse at that point other than I don't want to do it? Now, here's my thing, this has helped me a lot too. Instead of making up all these excuses, like, oh, well, timing, all that, what has helped me to say is like, you know what? I just don't want to do it right now. There's freedom in that, and it's truth. And if more people will be honest about what's really going on with them and be truthful and say, you know what, I just don't want to do it right now. I just don't feel like I have what to be committed and invested in that right now.
Not only is
I've had
freedom,
moments
but
in my personal life. I had moments in my personal life recently where I was trying to make some decisions, and I'm like, why aren't you doing this thing? And you know what, it came out of me. I was like, oh, I don't want to make the sacrifices necessary to get that. I literally said that to
Right.
myself. And I was like, oh crap. And then I was
Yeah.
able to actually pick, because I was honest with myself. When I said it, I was like, oh. But then it made me ask, okay, this thing that I'm pursuing, do I really want it? Or do I just feel like I want it? And then I was able to move some things off my plate, because I was like, oh, I feel like I'm pursuing something I don't even really want it. I just feel like I should be pursuing it. But it started with that honesty and even that self awareness of saying, yeah, I'm not willing to sacrifice what it takes to get to that point.
That's
by
good.
you, but not real quick, but and I'll give you that,
No,
DJ. But by you doing that, you
Hmm.
you 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 didn't play the victim role. Like it was real.
Oh, no.
That was a good conversation. That and you gotta have that conversation. Go ahead, DJ. I was just like people don't even like they don't want to even process that conversation with themselves.
And I'm gonna be honest, I'm one of those people. It helps me to call people and process stuff out loud. Like, am I getting this from the right perspective? Because I want to make sure that I'm not being short sighted as I try to make, especially very large, like big decisions, right? So I welcome wisdom. I'm down to get, connect with people who are wise and be able to glean from their experiences. I'm cool with that. But also in that moment, I wasn't talking to anybody. It was me, well, God, I guess, in the room, and me saying, you know what? Oh, okay, just kidding, God. I've been out here lying to myself. I ain't really want that. Just kidding. I'm good now. But that was a part of the process.
applied self worth. I love it. I think so.
Mhm.
Like just to give people like a tangible, because I feel like I went through what you was just talking about, and it's like
Mhm.
okay, 4 years. I went to college for 5 years. Don't judge me. I went to college for 5 years. I got my bachelor's.
Who's
No
And
judging you
judgment.
here, bro? Ain't nobody judging you here.
You silly.
well, but so long story short, for 4 years I played basketball. Out of those 5 years,
Mhm.
right?
9 years for associates. So
uh,
come on, you winning over there, bro.
I see you over there laughing. You got me weak. I can't. But long story short, man. So I went to like I said, I went to college for 5 years. I played for four, right? And those 4 years, my first year I was at a Division I college. My second,
Mhm.
third, and fourth years I wasn't, and there's a reason why. I wasn't in the gym. I was just talking to some kids about this complacency, right? I wasn't in the gym. I thought I made it. My freshman year when I went to D1, I wasn't in the gym, and so I was partying. I was doing what I know I shouldn't have been doing, right? So I knew for 4 years, bro, or for those 3 years after I left the D1, like if I stop doing this 100%, I can be the top player that I was when coming out of high school. I could do that, but I didn't do it. I did not do it. But that fifth year, I applied that self awareness because I knew okay. And unfortunately, this is the dumb mindset. But I knew okay, now there's money on the line. I gotta work out to go overseas and make this money, right? So the whole mindset was different. You know what I'm saying? So it went from the self awareness I knew I should like I had the self awareness, but I didn't apply it until I I kind of knew it was for something, which is neither here or there on the mindset part of that. But just give the people an example.
I just think that, yo, listen, it's going back to what Alali said. Like, and this is, yo, if it fits, if the shoe fits, put it on, right? Like, stop talking about it. Stop complaining. Stop. Like, if you're not ready, like, I personally don't want to hear it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think that is like, now I'm keeping 100 because it's one thing. You know what it is to work with somebody that, this is me being very transparent. It takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of like empathy, just in general, to work with people. And when I work with people, I want to find the best in you, and I want to really understand, because I've been in situations in my life where I'm literally stuck. I'm literally, it's not that I don't want it, it's just I can't see it. I can't walk through it. I don't know the information. And God has put people in my life that had grabbed my hand and said, Jorge, calm down, breathe, let's just take one step, and got me through
Hmm.
those seasons, right? And so, but at no time have I ever complained about anything and not willing to step into that fire. And I think that, again, this is not about self-awareness, because we have assessment. And shout out to all the folks that are coming through. I had a young lady that reached out today, and she wanted to get connected with some assessment, because again, that's just another tool to be able to give you these areas where you thrive and where they're blind spots, right? So, reach out to the team, make sure that you're connecting with us, and we have the tool for you to be able to really invest into yourself, and use that information to grow. But again, there's, like Alalai has spoken, there's therapy, there's coaching, there's consulting, there's assessments, there's
Hmm.
so many things. We're in 2023, but none of that works if you are just accustomed to just want to talk about where you at, and don't want to apply the information that people are literally are trying to give you. So when I work with people, and you give them solution, but they're like, oh, but there's always a but, and an excuse why they're not doing it. I would respect you. You will respect yourself a lot more if you just say, like Adelaide said, you know what? I'm just not ready to make that sacrifice. And until I do get to that point, if I do get to that point of making that sacrifice, I'm not even going to talk about it no more, because
Hmm.
what are we doing, right? And I think that right there is more damaging, that you could sit there and talk about something, because what you're doing, and I want to keep it 100 with you, the people that are rocking with you, little by little, they're gonna stop listening, and they're gonna stop trying to
Hmm.
give you advice, and they're gonna stop trying to entertain you, and eventually you're gonna find yourself isolated, and that's gonna turn into
Yep.
something very serious, because now not only you're dealing with the problem that you actually have been talking about it, but you're creating other layers on top of that, because now nobody really wants
Hmm.
to entertain you. So now you got people. If there's people around you, they're tolerating you, and I want you to be very careful with that, because if you're like me, I could count the people I could count on in one hand to begin with. So
Hmm.
when I do think about those individuals, I value them. I value their commitment to me. I value their advice. I value, right. So be careful what you're doing, because you think you have a shoulder to cry on, but yo, we're in a season that nobody really has time not to help you,
Hmm.
because if they love you, they're gonna rock with you. And there's people out there that, if you're willing to invest into yourself financially, like, you could get that. But even those individuals that are willing to work with you because you're investing into yourself financially, is gonna get to a point. It's like, oh, okay, you just I don't care for your money, because at this point you're not even being part of the solution. And for someone to work with you, they're looking for what? Results as well. Their job is to make sure that you move the needle. So
Hmm.
I'm saying all this to say is that, listen, it's a lot deeper than you sitting there and complaining about something that you're not willing to walk through. And that's all right. If you're not ready, you're not ready. You gotta have you gotta have that conversation with yourself, look in the mirror. But
Yeah.
stop that energy. Stop being looking for attention and pity in areas where, yo, people are gonna stop rocking with you, man. Because I think that right there is something that I have a problem with. And as soon as you said it, I had two people that came to mind. Like, I promise you, I was just in a conversation with somebody, on the phone before we jumped on the podcast, before we jumped on our call, and
Hmm.
and I remember just sitting there, and it came because, guess what? This is somebody that if y'all know me, I'm always pouring into. not only
Yeah.
myself but everybody else, because I generally care about people. And if I see a gap, I've learned not to give my opinion just to give it. But if you ask me, I'm gonna really embrace you and try to give you a solution. And I'm most likely gonna wanna help you walk through that and grab your arm. Like that's just who I am.
Right.
But I realized that even in that conversation, 90%, and if you know me, 90% of the conversation was just that person, and the other 5% was just me, like, oh, okay, oh, that's what's up. Oh, yep, you know. Why?
Uh-huh.
I'm
Cause
good.
you're over it.
I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good. You
Right.
you just want to hear yourself talking at this point, and I'm good.
Mhm. Yeah. And you know something that came to mind, and I love it. There's so many interesting scenarios in the Bible absolutely love. But the story about the man that's laying at the healing waters, he's laying there.
Oh, talk
And
about it.
when Jesus approaches him, he's like, "Do you want to be healed?" And bro's like, "Well, every time somebody beats me into the water, and I just been laying here for so many years." Jesus like, "No, I'm good on that. But I asked you, do you want to be healed?" And it was that man saying, yeah, he was aware of what was going on in his life. He was aware that he had been laying by that well. He was aware that people were beating him into it,
For
right?
20
Into the
years.
healing water. Okay. And so in even in that story, biblically, you see Jesus getting to the root, but do you want it? Is this what you want? Or are you content with talking about the things that aren't happening for you and to you? Are you content with the story? Tell people about why you didn't make it to the point that you said you wanted to make it to. Because some of us feel good in our excuses. It's like, man, I would have been at a certain point had my dog not died on a Friday night when I was getting my fish sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some of us are comfortable in those excuses and it makes us feel good. And but again, there's a difference. You can be completely aware of your situation and not take any action. Passive living, that's what you're doing. You're passively living your life. And we are called to take action. We are called to dominate. We are called to be bold. You are called to take control of your life. You are called to refuse to lose. You are called to be a hunter and go get what is yours. You're called to those things, but you can't get them if you are living passively, making excuses, and not being honest about what it is you really want.
Now, is it now on a twofold, right?
Sure.
Some individuals just don't know what they want, right? And I'm like, okay, cool, I get that. I get that, right? Like that's something that is really valid. But you do know what you don't want. You might not know what you
Exactly.
don't, you don't mind. You might not know what you want, like what you want in the sense of like what's next. But you know what you don't want, what you've been dealing with, what you've been talking about. Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah. And if you're not intentional, exactly what you don't want to end up chasing. And that's just what
Mhm.
I've learned. But go ahead. I just want that.
Nah, I think that was just clear, man. I'll be honest with you, and we could go on and talk about this for days, right? The reality is this: if you're listening to this podcast and you're receiving this and the shoe fits, it's not that we sitting here trying to dog you. Like don't get it twisted. I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. You probably don't even understand that you have a relationship with negativity. You have a relationship with just pity. You have a relationship with you probably grew up in an aspect that pity has gotten you in certain rooms and it's gotten you in certain situation and it's worked. But the reality is this: what you're seeking that's not the path you should be taking, because at this point, it's going back to what I just said a couple minutes ago. People are gonna get tired, and they're gonna stop celebrating you, and they're gonna start tolerating you, and then you're gonna find yourself to a point. Like I said, I was just in a conversation, and if I'm quiet in a conversation, there's something real. Jorge, you good? What's wrong? You mad at me? What's going on? What's up? Because there's two things: either I'm just not comfortable with the conversation, or I just had it, and there's really not much to say, because at this point you just want to hear yourself. And I think that's a really, it could always get worse. And going back to how we started the podcast, and we were talking about just gratitude, like, yo, be grateful that you still alive,
Mhm.
and that's a really valid thing. Like, you guys got to really understand. And I think that a lot of people are so stuck in what they're going through, and it's like, yo, that doesn't define who you are. That doesn't, don't give it life, but you give it life to a point that you want to talk about it. Not only you want to talk about it, you want to talk about it in different, all three, four, five different friends that you have, different conversation and different scenario, instead of taking the same energy that you sit there and you feel sorry for yourself, or you condemn other people because of your lack of success in your life. Because some of y'all out there
Mhm.
blaming situations and things, and it's valid. I get why you're upset, but like, bro, take your power back. Stop that. Stop giving it to people, and stop giving energy to individuals that are most likely not even thinking about you. But that same energy and that same time that you're taking, it's the same energy and time. This is something I say all the time, that it's gonna help you, and it takes to be able to get to the next level. And it starts with what? Just apply what you already know. Apply what
Yeah.
you already know. You know that there's a toxic behavior on your part because you want to sit around and talk about other people, and you want to sit around and talk about events, and you want to sit around and talk about other people's behaviors. And it's like, if you're that individual, I promise you, like, there's your circles are gonna get smaller and smaller and smaller. Because in 2023, one thing I know about people is that majority of the folks, they see how the rest of the world is moving, and it's hard for us to really see how the rest of the world is moving. And you have this fire of wanting more and seeking more, because Adelaide kind of said it biblically. We are born to thrive. We are of the image of our Father and Savior. So whatever that means to you, that means that you should be living life phenomenal, right? And
Mhm.
feel like it's purposeful. We're not talking about money. We're not talking about like that. Don't get it twisted. We're talking
Right.
about making sure that you're creating value not only in your life, but everybody else you come across, your
Right.
surrounding.
Mhm.
And it could be your immediate family. It could be, that's why I love these two, and I love that how DJ started the conversation. It was like, yo, I'm grateful for y'all, right? Because we pour into each other. We in the little bit of time we've been building together, God knows why He did it, and we know the value of what it is to make sure that we continue to create value in others, and through that
Mhm.
you're gonna get a satisfaction. You're gonna have a purpose. And I think that, man, you just gotta get off. You gotta get off that not only pity, but stop trying to be. Stop allowing yourself to making excuses and negotiating every time you're going through something, because that's really what it comes. You cop out all the time, and stop copping out. Stop copping out because
Mhm.
the sky is blue, and the weather's stop that. It's just crazy. It's crazy,
That's real.
crazy.
Right.
Stop
And
copping out.
Yeah, and I think,
stop.
one thing, if I could just, be encouraging to the situation is, kind of like what I said before, just start with what you have. Like oftentimes you hear that in context with like finances or people trying to start businesses and stuff, right? Like just start with what you have, even if it's $20. My thing is just start with what you have. You have some self-awareness. You don't have to have it all figured out, but take one step. And maybe that doesn't mean you invest in a $15,000 coaching program or $5,000
Right.
coaching program.
Right.
Maybe that means, you find a support group and it's $50 for your material so you can participate, and you sacrifice a couple nights a week to go and sit with your support group. Or like, in Jorge's case, Jorge coaches people. However, he's going to expect results. So if y'all come knocking on this door, just know he's going to hold you accountable to those
100%.
results, which is good, because there are a lot of people who need that accountability and that support, so that they just don't sit on their hands and just, hope and wish for the best, right? But be honest with yourself about where you are, and then start wherever you are with whatever you have. I think sometimes we try to overcomplicate that process. Find what fits the season of life you are in, and then move forward from there. Maybe you can only do the $100 program, but next year you may be able to invest in a $5,000 coaching program. Cool. But the point is, take accountability, be honest with yourself about what it is you really want, and then get started.
Do not run from the accountability. Embrace the accountability. 100%.
Yep.
Hey, listen,
Like
man.
y'all, and go ahead, Jorge.
No, no, go ahead. I'll talk all night, man. You gotta let me.
Hey, listen, we got some good subjects coming up. Listen, Jorge and Ella gave y'all some great things today. When it comes down to it, man, applied self awareness. That was the subject today. And I think that when you go back through and listen, or even if you did take notes, there's a lot of great things they said. There's a lot of things that you can use to move forward from this space that we're in right now. So, hey, shout out to y'all for listening to another episode of Paralyzed to Prosperous Podcast. And we will definitely see y'all next week.